This day, Jesus enters the city, and by this point, he's got crowds and crowds of people who are following him. His disciples, as they're called, are many. And he enters the city, and people are so excited he's there. People have been anticipating his entrance into Jerusalem, and they are worshiping him, yelling, "Blessed is he, Hosanna in the highest," right? They are declaring him this leader, this many thinking of him as the Messiah, the one who's come to save them from the oppression of Rome. What they don't realize, though, is on this day, Jesus, his revolution is something totally different. It's a revolution, but it's not going to come like a typical revolution. It's actually coming in a way that nobody is expecting it. See, it starts with Jesus riding a donkey. See, a typical military leader would be coming back from war, riding a purebred, riding this big horse into the city. But Jesus is not riding a purebred. Working with purebreds is not really Jesus' style at all, but he's riding a donkey. As he comes in on the donkey, and people are laying cloaks on the ground and laying palm branches on the ground to make way for him, to clear way from him. It's not his chest that's up high. It's not his head held high as one filled with pride, but the Apostle Luke in his account tells us that Jesus is weeping. He's crying over the city. He's broken over the city because they don't understand what is coming. See, in this moment, Jesus is fulfilling his whole purpose on earth, and you would think that this feeling would be the climax of his life, the climax of his existence as he's coming into the city to fulfill his purpose. But instead, he's feeling the weight of the world. He's feeling the weight of this moment. See, what Jesus should have done in this moment then is entered the city and got off his horse and gone to the temple and rallied the people, right? To pull them together to proclaim his platform and begin the revolution, to organize people in his revolution. But instead, he goes to the temple. And rather than leaning on the powers of the day to organize the religious folk, instead he's turning tables. He's flipping tables and overturning the religious folk. And he's so upset that religion of the day, that the worship of his Father, that the worship of God has deteriorated to this place where people are making money on the backs of oppression. And instead of preaching in this moment, he's flipping tables and doing what? We hear that he's healing the sick. That people who are typically excluded from the temple are brought close to him. See, what's so clear on Palm Sunday is that Jesus' revolution is a third way of thinking. It's an upside down kind of kingdom that he's bringing, where he is the king and we get to be a part of his kingdom, but it's in his way. See, it's not Jesus' way to climb the religious ladder, but it's his way to overturn it. See, it's not Jesus' way to avoid suffering, but it's his way to enter it. It's not Jesus' way to find resurrection when God is present, but to discover God when he appears to be absent. It's not his way to ride a purebred horse, but a halfway kind of donkey. It's not his way to do this through the religious elite, but it's his way to do this through fishermen, tax collectors, prostitutes, the outsiders. Jesus' way is not by the sword, but it's by surrender. That it's his kingdom that I'm posturing my life towards. See, Palm Sunday invites us to join him in a Holy Week. It invites us to follow him on the way to the cross. It invites us to join him in flipping tables. It invites us to join him in washing the feet of those who might be beneath us or betraying us. It invites us to welcoming our betrayers to our table. It invites us to pray for those who maybe seek to crucify us. It invites us to join him in death. And certainly he invites us to join him in resurrection. And what we learned this week is that so often we will miss it, that we will struggle to join him in all of these things. And what we learn about Jesus is that he will wait, that he is patient, not disappointed as he waits, but just patient. We remember that he incarnated, and he spent 30 years of his life just waiting before he enters his 3 years of ministry. And that even during his 3 years, he's constantly holding up the fame that is coming towards him for healing people and feeding people and being such a proficient teacher. We must remember that Jesus is patient, that he would slow down his public ministry to touch the leopard, that he would slow down his public ministry to call the outsider, that he would slow down his public ministry to reach out to those who are on the outside of society, that Jesus chose to come to the city, that he chose to take the pathway to his crucifixion, that he chose to love us first, and he will wait for us as we learn to join him in the things that awaken our own resurrection. He's not in a rush. He was there in the beginning, and he'll be there in the end. So on this Palm Sunday, I invite you to lean in. I invite you to pause and reflect and consider the things that Jesus is inviting you into. Sense his patience as he invites you in, as we learn to follow him to the cross.